Hi there, Lori, and we're going to go over how to do a regression and remove some variables if they're not contributing to our overall model. So let's begin with doing a multiple regression of all of the variables that we have at hand, and that would be, in this case, using our HR database: gender, race, years in industry, years with company, years in current role, satisfaction with pay, satisfaction with supervisor, and satisfaction with work-life balance. In order to do our multiple regression, we click on our data tab, go to our data analysis, scroll down to get regression, hit OK. First of all, we want to pick our Y variable, our dependent variable, what we're trying to predict. We're going to highlight overall job satisfaction, that's what we're predicting. We're going to highlight the first few, hit Control Shift, arrow down to get to the bottom of our data. We have 1,627 lines, including our label. So that means we have 1,626 rows of data. That's correct up there. So now we're going to do our X, or our independent variables. Here we're going to highlight all of the ones that we have here. Remember, they have to be next to each other to be included in a multiple regression. We're going to hit labels. Confidence level of 95% is just fine, and we can have it give us our residuals and standardized residuals should we need to look at those. We hit OK, and out pops our results. Expand them so that we can see all of our cells. First thing we look at is our significance for F, that's 0. And those of you that have seen these videos with me before know we're going to make those green, because that works. Pretty exciting. We're explaining about 81% of the variance in our statistic, or in our score for overall satisfaction, by looking at the variables that we picked. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Let's see if all of them matter. So we're going to conditionally format our p-values, and if they're less than 0.051, we're going to make them green, because green means good. Hit OK. And we've got some green ones and not green ones. So what do we do with the ones that are not green, that are not significant? Well, we're going to remove them rather than remove them as a group. We're going to remove them one by one and give them a chance to develop. There's a possibility that 1 or 2 of them might end up being significant if we remove some of the more some of the variables that are less significant. So we're going to pick the one with the greatest p-value for what we're going to remove, and that's years in industries. So we're going to go back to our data sheet. We're going to find our years in industry. Remember, we would never do this with our original data. I've pulled this data set down from our website, Moodle, and so I feel comfortable making some changes to it. But if this were your original data set, you would never mess with it. You would make a copy of it and then make your changes. We're going to delete that column that we don't need anymore, and let's go ahead and run our regression again. Take us to the data tab, data analysis, going to the regression, and we notice that if we highlight what we used to have there, we notice that it's the I column. We don't want I anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that, and instead I'm going to choose the top part of the H column, Control Shift down arrow to highlight everything I need. Let's take a look at our independent variables. We want them to include from gender through satisfaction with work-life balance. Control Shift and down arrow to pick up all that data. Everything else is the same, so we can hit OK. Let's go ahead and highlight all of these, go to the very last one, and double click, and that will increase the column width appropriately for everything. Again, we've got a significance of 0 for our F score, our F test. That's great. We've got 81% still for the amount being explained. We're going to conditionally format our p-values because it is a lot easier to see it. 0.051 when it's color-coded rather than trying to figure out what those exponential things are. There we go. And we've still got 4 that are not significant but are over the 0.05. The next largest one that we want to get rid of appears to be this one at 0.308, which translates to race. So let's go back to our data sheet, and we're going to scroll up as quickly as we can, and we're going to take out race. So we're going to cut that, paste it over here because we don't need it anymore, remove that column, and go ahead and run our data analysis using regression. Again, we're going to have to move our dependent variable or our y variable over. We've done that, so we can OK that. That was a little aggressive there. We're not ready to do that, Laura. All right, we're going to highlight these top ones. Control Shift and down arrow to pick up all of our data. Everything else looks good. We hit that. Let's highlight all of these. Double click. And still we have the significance for our F test of 0. So it is less than 0.05, so it is significant, which is great. Still explaining 81%, which is wonderful. Let's conditionally format those p-values. So we go to Home, Conditional Format, highlight cell rules less than 0.051, green, 0. All right, we still have 3 that are not significant, and those are gender, years with company, and years of current role. I'm going to now choose the one with the highest p-value, or 0.204, to get rid of, and that is years with company. So I go back to my data sheet, and yes, this is a little repetitive, but if we do it one by one, we're giving each variable a chance to make it into the winner column. So we are getting rid of, let's see, sheet 3 was my results. Yep, years with company. Take that column, cut it, paste it over here, get rid of that column, we don't need it anymore. Go ahead and go to data and run our regression using our data analysis pack. Here we highlight the variable that we want. Let's try that again. Control Shift down arrow. Let's highlight our independent variables. Notice how it has picked up, and it keeps picking up that last column, which is a dependent variable. We don't want that, so we really do need to change this. And that's why we re-highlight, and now we're all set. We can go. Double click to make our columns wider. We do have a significant F test telling us that our model is working. We are predicting 81%, which is pretty exciting. Let's look at our p-values. We're going to conditionally format those less than 0.051, and we're going to make those green. But looking pretty good. We've got another one to get rid of. Look at years in current role. And then gender, that's at 0.055. So let's see if we can maybe tip the scales for gender by getting rid of years in current role. So we'll go back to our data sheet. We'll hop up here, years in current role, cut that, paste it over here, delete column B. Run our regression by going to Data, Analysis, Regression, highlighting what is column E now. Our independent variables are now gender through the 3 satisfactions. Run that again, highlight. We've still got an F significance of F that is 0, which is less than 0.05. Excellent. We're still explaining quite a bit, 81%. Our model has gotten a lot more efficient and a lot tighter because we have a lot fewer variables, and yet we're still predicting quite a bit with 81%. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Let's go ahead and conditionally format, see if anything or everything is below 0.051. And it is. So we now have a multiple regression with 4 independent variables and 1 dependent variable. We're all set. Thanks for listening.